Dungeons are the ultimate fantasy for any role-playing game. And most people, like you and me, whenever we hear the word dungeon, we imagine boss monsters guarding gigantic piles of loot, incredible challenge for a group of adventurers or one single strong hero challenging that dungeon. This is the basis for so many video games that deals in mid to high fantasy. It is absolutely necessary for our enjoyment, as some would say. And with that said, I'd like to discuss Dungeons and Albion Online. They are lackluster, to say the least. Yes, you do have group dungeons that can provide some incredible challenge and decent wealth, and then you have the dungeons which require a large party of adventurers to provide incredible loot and wealth and fame for anyone who dares to jump in. But my focus today is on the dungeons for those lone heroes who are trying to make it out for themselves. And this is where I feel Albion Online suffers a little bit. Understandably, high risk gives high reward, and it should be as that. And the risk for solo dungeons is not that high. Or is it? You still have to gear yourself up with a decent set of gear. You still have to dare to venture out into the outlands where you can get ganked, you can get taken out and killed by any who decide to do so. You're safe as long as you're in the dungeon. And the dungeon can, for all intents and purposes, give you some incredible loot, or you can open a purple chest and get 30k worth of loot, which is sad. So, how would this be fixed? Well, it could be fixed by just giving a little buff to this, a little increase to the solo player experience. At the moment, there's no incentive whatsoever to do solo dungeons. If you want to do solo content, you go to Brishelen, you go to the Mists, you find yourself an abbey, you jump into that abbey, and you farm in there. Understandably, this is a form of a dungeon, but it does get stale pretty quick because there's only one structure, there's only one set of enemies, and as much loot as there is, it's not the same experience as when you delve into a dungeon. So this is my proposal. Imagine taking the concept of the abbey and applying it to dungeons. Communal solo instances, meaning that there can be individuals who just enter the dungeon, and the dungeon is a sprawling instance similar to the static dungeons where you have individuals fighting to collect loot, to kill bosses, but then they can decide to either group up or fight amongst themselves. And if they do group up, the rewards should be multiplied, and if they do fight against themselves, similar to the corrupted dungeons, it would be great to see some form of reward. The impact of having such a system is clearly very popular because the population in Brishelen has exploded since the Abbies, since Knightfall has been launched, would be incredible. I think that Albion Online is onto something here, as they have found an incredible answer to a very striking issue in the game right now, where solo players have very limited content that they can do, and to enter into the high tier guilds or create a guild that's strong enough to compete at the high level, which is very player versus player focused, very heavily guild versus guild focused, you are gonna struggle. This, the Abbey, is the perfect template, and I am dying to see how it can be applied to a hybrid of abbeys and solo dungeons where people can go in, so the risk is still high because you can still get killed by someone else, but you will be looking for treasure in a maze. And creating it in a time barred instance just adds that level of randomness that you never know exactly what you're gonna face. Thanks for watching the video, tell me your ideas, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Bye bye.